Welcome back to part 2 of our coverage of the National Balmoral Premier Series. The 4 seasons and weather-wise start making an appearance today. Rain, sun, wind, you name it, it's all here. But so is the action. And back to the action we go with Ger O'Neill and Go For It. This is a nice one. This one by Toulon out of a Voltaire mare. Ger really thinks quite highly of this one. You can tell by the manner and the way the horse jumps. Very calm, very relaxed, really not stressed. If you compare it to some of the previous rounds that you've seen and the ones to come, you see how Ger really, as part of Ger's talent as a rider, but there's really no big fuss, no big argument. There's a little one there, as I mentioned it, it's commentator's curse. But soon forgotten, ears pricked into the combination. No problem at all, first 2 parts, and super out of the third. Now this is the option where riders can give themselves a little bit of leeway on the time allowed. Wide turn or tight turn can be made. The tall, gappy, vertical charges, those little tweaks down the range just to set the horse back, ups the pace a bit for the triple bar, forward into the bottom of the triple bar, back on the front end of stadium for the double. Little rub, looking a bit dangerous. He'd be more than happy if he gets clear. He'd be more than happy if he gets to the jump off. Is it going to be both? He is clear and through to the jump off. Ger O'Neill and Go For It.
Jerry, you must be pretty pleased with your horse today.
Yeah, I'm delighted with Go For It today. He jumped really well. There's another clear now, but as far as there's only 4 clears, and he's quite a novice horse at that level, so delighted.
And tell us a bit about the background of that horse.
I bought him in Germany last year as an 8-year-old. He was quite green. He only really started to compete when he was 7, so he hasn't so much mileage at this level. Hopefully now, if we can go well, it'd be nice to go to Dublin. It's not really the plan. If it happens, it'd be great. But I'd like to campaign him now for Mill Street, and then I'd probably head away and try and do a few bigger shows.
Do you think this is a horse with Nations Cup potential?
He has as much scope as any horse I had that ever jumped 5-star level or Olympics running. He has all the scope. He's a little bit of a character, but he's putting all the pieces together, and I mean, you can only... I think he can jump everything anyway, but I suppose I'm biased.
When you say he's a character, what's he like at home and what's he like to ride?
He's quite grumpy in the stable. But when you start to work with him, and we're starting to become a partnership now, and he really tries for you then, so he's a little bit spooky in the ring. I think that can't be handled, just a green horse, so just has his own nature a little bit.
On to our next featured rider. This is Vincent Byrne riding Cardi. Vincent equal first on 20 points on the leaderboard. He rides 2 horses in the Premier Series. He's got this one and Hannibal v Overis. The one we see, Cardi, is by Limerick out of a Flagman Diamond. He needs to be a consistent performer to get those vital... Oh, little chip at the paintwork. Consistently getting points to be at the top of the board. And in fact, Cardi goes on to have 2 fences down this round and finishes at 79.55. As we move over to Averil, and she has a chat with Greg Broderick and his ride, Golden Exchange.
Greg, you've been having a phenomenal summer so far.
Yeah, so far so good. The horse has been in great form. Going global obviously has gone from strength to strength with the Nations Cups, and obviously it was great in Estrel to jump 3 clear rounds and finish on the podium there in the global tour. And just been home there for the last 10 days. Rinkarina had a nice win in Newcastle West in the Grand Prix on Sunday, and Golden Exchange had a nice win in the National Grand Prix yesterday. So it's nice to be home again for a few weeks, and I'm looking forward to Dublin.
It seems like you can't go wrong at the moment. What are you putting that down to?
Oh, I can definitely go wrong, I can tell you that. There's no fear of that. Just the horses are in good form. I have some lovely horses and I have a great team, people around me, and I think that's a big help.
Okay, let's see how this duo get on. It's Greg Broderick and Golden Exchange. And that's not a good start to any round. First fence on the floor. Cups these days are very flat and it doesn't take much to rub a pole. Now Still, 4 faults could get Greg into the jump-off round. A fast 4 faults. Potentially topped a bit off that parallel. Comes down a bit too early. Takes the back bar. Greg, no. Greg deciding the man he said he can't. He admits to being able to do wrong. Unfortunately, not going so well from there. Greg retires. Move on to our next combination. This is Emily Turkington riding Wilhelm, and she's done the same as Greg. First fence on the floor for 4 faults. Whether it's location of first fence or type, it's quite gappy, quite airy. Emily, this is her first Premier Series with this horse. Certainly the horse doesn't lack the talent or the scope. Neither does the rider. It's just about the two of them getting together, getting synchronized, getting harmonized. It's this tricky combination. Oh, just about. That could have went either way. Unfortunately, back pulled down, carrying 4 faults. Rather carrying 8, first fence on the floor at the last part of the combination. So it comes a bit so far with 8. Nice clean flying change. Sets up for the triple bar. Last line home. Tons of jump. Back and steady into the double. No, first part of the double down. Coming in with 12. Not going to get in a jump off position. So 12 faults on time 78.17 for Emily and Wilhelm. Frank Curran and New World now. Frank having an okay Premier Series. And there, commentator's curse. There goes that first fence again. Carrying the 4. All these riders well aware of what needs to be done. They know top 25% will definitely go through the jump off. Course designer said in his interview he was hoping for 10 riders through. Don't think that's going to happen today. Again, rub the Harlan and Wolf upright for Frank. Very strong track today. Frank really have to work in the combination. Going impeccable here at Balmoral. You can see that even on that tight turn, no slipping. Very little grass being kicked up. You were throwing her shoulder in through the turn. Frank just keeping her out. Coming down the last line. That other rider getting pretty close to being in Frank's way. Last race of distance, 3 stride distance. Jumps in good. And good round from Frank. 4 faults, 74.18.
Frank, a little unlucky today, just the 4 faults.
Yeah, I had the first fence down. I was waiting for quite a while for them to set the course, and I think that maybe my horse maybe lost a bit of concentration. I thought I rode it to a fairly good distance, but just unlucky. So then I moved up for a fast time against the clock, or so I'm ranked highly in the second round.
Yeah, we're not seeing many clear rounds so far, so you might still get into the jump off.
Yeah, all been well. I think there's only 2 at the moment, so the top 25% comes through. So I think that'll be about 10 today. So yeah, we'll try our best in the second round, jump a clear round and finish as high as possible.
Now onto our new face. This is Barry McCormack riding his own Armani Velvet. This one by Heartbreaker out of a Bergeraff mare. Excellent bloodlines for jumping. Barry bought this horse, I think, 2012. This is his first Premier Series. Whoa, and it's a lively one. Now, Barry certainly picked a doozy of a Premier Series as his first one. It's I think it's one of the strongest, certainly one of the biggest tracks I've seen so far. 5 weeks into the Premier Series. The riders should be settling into their job. Really struggling, paddling over the parallel. Breaks his martingale in the process. And in fact, Barry manages to keep it just to the 4 faults on a time of 78.63. Now let's pop over to Avril and her quick-fire round of questions.
What's your favourite victory in your career so far?
I won a 2-star Grand Prix with New World in Coilug 2 years ago. That's probably my biggest win to date.
I suppose it was only a few weeks ago in Charleville. This was my first national Grand Prix.
Last year I was second in the 6-year-old final in Dublin, which was very good. It was in the main arena under lights, so I was very happy with that.
I won a good few premiers. I jumped on Nations Cup teams. Recently to be second in a 2-star Grand Prix. I mean, my aim is not to jump at the highest level. It's grand if that happens, but they're normally sold when they get to that level. So memories of watching the good horses. I had 3 horses jump the Grand Prix in Akin last year, and that's probably my biggest memory.
On Facebook or Twitter?
Facebook.
Oh, Facebook.
Facebook.
If you could steal any horse on the international circuit, which would it be?
Cedric.
Is that Laura Kreit's horse?
Yeah.
Why?
Just love the horse. It's like a bouncing ball. Balloons over everything. Love it.
Hello Sanctus.
Quite a few I would like at the moment. Probably Palabay. Janica Sprunger used to ride it. One of the Saudi riders has it now, but it would probably be my choice. It's blood and ultra careful, I think.
Going global.